Ava continued playing and the snake coiled around him, slowly yet dangerously. Malik trembled, struggling to break free from its grip, but it was futile. In the vast land of Aerobia, nestled behind majestic limestone mountains and ancient shadowy forests, lies the village of Kiondo. Secluded from the hustle and bustle of the outside world, this village has long been known as a peaceful oasis, where people live in harmony with nature and one another. The fresh air carries the fragrance of flowers and greenery, while the whispering breeze through the shaded treetops soothes the harsh rays of the afternoon sun. Day by day, the joyful laughter of children echoes through the dirt paths, harmonizing with the songs of birds and the melodies of shepherds' flutes. Life in Kiondo seems unchanging, always brimming with happiness and friendliness. The villagers, their smiles never fading, are always ready to welcome strangers with open hearts and vibrant cultural celebrations. These feasts are not merely occasions to share food, but also moments to share stories, traditional dances, and the masterful tunes of marimba, creating a colourful symphony of culture and tradition. However, the cheerful, carefree atmosphere began to shift as a mysterious shadow slowly enveloped the village. At first, it was subtle, yet noticeable changes. Colder than usual winds sweeping through, carrying thick mists that blanketed the mornings. Then, the shadows seemed to linger longer under the trees, creating an eerie sense that something was lurking, watching and waiting. The village of Kiondo, once a paradise, suddenly became a terrifying enigma as stories of strange sounds heard at night began to spread. Villagers whispered about faceless footsteps, murmurs from the depths of the forest, and fleeting shadows passing by windows on moonless nights. This shift not only stirred confusion, but also sowed seeds of mistrust among the villagers. A growing sense of unease spreading like a crack through the long-held bonds of trust and harmony in the community. What had brought this darkness to the village of Kiondo? Was it an ancient curse awakened, or a sinister force seeking to plunge the village into oblivion? This question began to ripple through the village in hushed whispers, each word, each story deepening the mystery further. And as strange occurrences began to happen with increasing frequency, fear truly took root in everyone's minds. Not even the elders of the village, with their wealth of memories, could recall ever facing a time as dark as this. The dark secret hidden beneath Kiondo's peaceful facade was about to be unveiled, and once revealed, no one could predict the consequences it would bring. A struggle for the village's survival and the very souls of its people had begun. In the misty dawns of Kiondo, whispers began to spread like a chilling breeze. Each morning, as the faint light of daybreak started to chase away the darkness, the villagers discovered new horrors. Young women, full of life and hope the evening before, were found lifeless by morning, bearing strange marks on their necks. 2 small, deep parallel punctures, like the bite of a venomous snake unknown to the village. Each mysterious death served as a chilling reminder of life's fragility, and the safety the people of Kiondo once cherished suddenly became a distant luxury. There were no witnesses, no clues, only a growing pervasive fear. The secrets of the night began to make everyone question what lay beyond their sight, and rumours spread like waves crashing onto the village's once tranquil shores. Grandmother Marley, the most experienced woman in the village, for the first time in her life, felt powerless in the face of these unexplainable events. She often rose early, walking through the village with her antique lantern, striving to find any trace or clue about the source of these tragic deaths. She listened, searched, and questioned, but the night responded only with an eerie silence. The mothers in the village began keeping their daughters indoors at night, locking doors and windows tightly, even though they knew such measures might not be enough to protect them. Every strange sound in the night made their hearts race, and their anxious eyes never strayed far from their sleeping children. Meanwhile, Tabo, the youngest and most curious man in the village, decided not to sit idly by, waiting for things to resolve themselves. He embarked on his own investigation, a desperate attempt to uncover the truth behind the mysterious deaths. Thabo spent countless sleepless nights wandering through the forest, hoping to encounter anything that might lead him to the culprit, or explain the tragedies. One night, while following an unusual trail deep into the forest, Thabo felt the unsettling sensation of being watched. Every step he took on the dry leaves echoed with strange sounds, and whispers seemed to emanate from the shadows. His heart pounded in his chest as he realized he might not be alone in the darkness. Thabo's persistence eventually led him to a terrifying discovery. In a hidden corner of the forest, under the dim light of the moon, he stumbled upon a secret cave. Inside, there were clear signs of a presence belonging to a creature not of this world. Venturing further into the cave, Thabo found the skeletal remains of previous victims and a collection of strange artifacts that he could not explain. As dawn broke, Thabo returned to the village with the clues he had uncovered, but he brought back more questions than answers. The truth behind the deaths of the young women in Kiondo seemed far more complex and terrifying than he had ever imagined. Now, with these clues in hand, will Thabo uncover the true culprit, or will the village of Kiondo remain forever haunted by this mysterious darkness? Time will tell, and every villager must confront a truth they may not be ready to face. While the village of Kiondo was engulfed in fear and uncertainty, Malik, the man hailed as the most charming in the village, seemed entirely unaffected by the unfolding events. With his tall stature, handsome features, and a smile as radiant as the sun, he was the epitome of romance in the eyes of many. But behind that calm and composed exterior, could there be something more sinister lurking beneath? Malik lived in a small house on the edge of the village, where he spent most of his time tending to his garden. The garden was his way of expressing his love for nature, a place where flowers bloomed endlessly, and the trees remained lush and green all year round. Villagers often saw Malik smiling as he worked in his garden, his voice carrying through the air as he sang, a soothing melody that floated like a gentle breeze. Malik's natural beauty and charm captivated the hearts of many women in the village. He was not only blessed with striking looks, but also possessed a sharp intellect and an engaging way with words. In the evenings, he was often seen telling stories to children around the campfire or joining lively discussions at the village tavern. People were drawn to his intelligence and his profound insights into life and nature. But beneath his optimistic exterior, Malik harbored a nameless sadness. No one in the village knew his past, or why a talented man like Malik never left Kiondo or married like others. Sometimes, on bright moonlit nights, he could be seen standing alone on the hill, gazing toward the dense forest. His eyes would take on a distant, sorrowful look, as if searching for something or someone long lost. The villagers began to raise questions about Malik as the mysterious deaths continued. Although no evidence connected him to the tragedies, his calm demeanor and unaffected appearance became a topic of gossip. Some started to wonder if Malik was truly the person they thought he was. Lily, a young woman living with her family on the opposite side of the village, was the first to voice her suspicions. She noticed Malik's peculiar behavior, his late-night outings, his whispered phone calls under the moonlight, and his unusual closeness with the snakes in his garden. On a stormy night, Lily decided to follow Malik. She discreetly trailed him into the forest, using the tracking skills her father had taught her. Venturing deeper into the woods, she discovered a small cabin that Malik seemed to have been using as a secret hideout. Inside, Lily found ancient books about magic and sacrificial rituals, along with a portrait of a woman she had never seen before. The woman in the painting had sorrowful eyes and an otherworldly beauty, bearing an uncanny resemblance to Malik. When Malik unexpectedly returned and discovered Lily, a tense confrontation ensued. Malik admitted that he had been keeping a part of his past hidden, a past he had hoped to bury forever. He told Lily about the woman in the painting, the love of his life who had perished in a tragic accident, and his connection to the mysteries the village was struggling to unravel. Malik insisted he was not responsible for the deaths, but pleaded for Lily's help in uncovering the real culprit, before it was too late. In the golden light of the late afternoon, a tall, slender figure appeared on the path leading to the village of Kiondo. Ava, a young woman with wavy brown hair and sorrowful eyes, was no ordinary traveller visiting this land. Returning with a heavy purpose, Ava carried a mission close to her heart to uncover the mystery surrounding the death of her best friend, Kim, who had been found lifeless beneath the village's ancient tree on an autumn morning. Ava's arrival immediately drew the attention of the villagers. Her unfamiliar yet strangely familiar appearance sparked hushed whispers and speculation. She stopped at the small inn run by Grandmother Marley, the oldest woman in the village, where she was met with a warm welcome and unspoken understanding. Grandmother Marley, with her thoughtful gaze, instantly recognized the pain and determination in Ava's eyes. Wasting no time, Ava began her quest for the truth. She questioned Kim's neighbors, piecing together fragments of stories her friend had left behind. Tales of sleepless nights, anxious glances, and secret visits to a small house at the edge of the village, the house belonging to Malik. Ava found herself drawn to Malik, the most charming man in the village who, from the very first moment she saw him, evoked an inexplicable connection within her. She encountered him one afternoon, helping a group of children repair an old bicycle. His calm demeanor and natural smile left Ava flustered. Yet behind those smiles, she sensed something hidden, a deep secret that she was determined to uncover. Determined to follow Malik, Ava spent days tracking his movements from a distance. She meticulously noted every activity, from his interactions with the villagers to his frequent trips into the dense forest each evening. The more she observed him, the more she noticed his peculiar habit. He often ventured into the woods at dusk and didn't return until late at night. One evening, driven by curiosity and determination, Ava decided to follow Malik deep into the forest. In the darkness, she stumbled over dry branches, the sound startling her. Hidden among the bushes, she watched as Malik stopped before a small ravine where he appeared to be performing a ritual. Ava saw him light candles around an ancient stone circle and chant words in an unfamiliar language. In the flickering candlelight, his face appeared deeply pensive, with a hint of tension. As the ritual concluded, Malik suddenly turned as though sensing someone's presence. Ava quickly hid behind a large rock, her heart pounding in her chest. She couldn't take her eyes off Malik. The full moon hung high over the village of Kiondo, its silver light filtering through the treetops, casting eerie shadows along the forest path. The atmosphere that night held an unusual foreboding, as if nature itself was hiding a dark secret. Tonight, Ava felt an invisible force compelling her to follow Malik deep into the woods. She knew this might be her only chance to uncover the truth about the man and his connection to the mysterious deaths of the village girls. Ava moved silently through the trees, keeping just enough distance to remain undetected while still observing Malik's every move. She watched as he stopped in a clearing, a place that seemed prepared beforehand, with faint marks on the ground, traces of old dark rituals. Malik quietly lit black candles, their dim, flickering light casting eerie, chilling shadows across his face. Ava felt her heart pounding in her chest, a mix of anticipation and fear. She found herself mesmerized by his actions, as though witnessing something she was never meant to see. As the candles burned, Malik stood upright, his eyes glowing under the moonlight, filled with both sorrow and intensity. Then he began to whistle, a haunting melody, both dark and strangely captivating. The sound echoed through the silent forest, blending with the hum of nocturnal insects. Yet there was something extraordinary about it, as if the tune held a mysterious power, summoning a presence from another realm. Ava tensely watched Malik's every move, and suddenly she noticed movement in the nearby bushes. At first, she thought it was just the wind rustling the leaves, but then, emerging from the dense shadows, something long and jet black appeared, a massive snake, sleek and deadly. It slithered out of the undergrowth, its coiled body enormous and otherworldly, as if it didn't belong to this world. The snake slithered slowly toward Malik, its glowing yellow eyes fixed intently on him, as if awaiting a command. Ava held her breath, her eyes wide as she realized the snake was not merely a wild creature, but one under control. It obeyed Malik, responding strangely to the melody he whistled, like a loyal servant. The scene before her sent chills down her spine. Ava understood that Malik was not the ordinary man she had imagined. A terrifying secret lay hidden behind his charming facade, a secret that might have claimed the life of her best friend, Kim, and the other women in the village. Malik leaned down and whispered something to the snake, his deep voice resonating in the still air, creating a suffocating tension. The snake listened, and it seemed to understand him, flicking its tongue and lowering its head in submission. Ava wondered what could make such a dangerous creature so obedient to a human. Did Malik possess a power known only to him? Ava felt a storm of conflicting emotions rising within her, fear and anger. Fear of the dark power Malik appeared to wield, and anger that her beloved friend had died in silence, while the perpetrator might still be living freely, leading a seemingly tranquil life amidst the pain of so many families. She instinctively stepped back, but in that moment, a twig snapped under her foot. Malik abruptly froze, his sharp, blade-like gaze slicing toward the sound, as if he knew someone was watching him. Ava held her breath, pressing herself deeper into the shadows, but her heart pounded so loudly she feared Malik might hear it. Malik began to move slowly toward her, his eyes scanning every corner of the dark forest. Ava was nearly paralyzed, not daring to move, but a fierce determination burned within her. She had come too far to turn back now. She knew she had to confront this man no matter what it might cost her. Malik stood still for a moment, his eyes fixed on the darkness. Then, as if deciding there was no one else there, he turned back to the snake and raised his hand in a commanding gesture. The snake coiled itself and silently disappeared into the shadows, as though it had never been there. Ava exhaled in relief, but the fear lingered. Now she was certain that Malik was more than just a mysterious figure. He wielded a power she could scarcely comprehend, but how had he acquired such power? And what was his true purpose? These questions clung to her mind as she quietly made her way back to the village, determined to uncover the truth. Malik might be dangerous, but Ava knew she couldn't stop, not for Kim, and not for the innocent women who had lost their lives. She had glimpsed part of his secret, and now she wouldn't rest until she uncovered it all. That night, the forest was cloaked in a chilling darkness. The crescent moon cast only faint light through the canopy of trees, creating a grim and eerie scene. Ava stood still, holding her breath in the shadows, knowing the moment she had been waiting for had arrived. She gripped the enchanted flute tightly, a gift from a mysterious prophet, feeling the strange power emanating from it. This was the only weapon she had to confront Malik. The most enigmatic and dangerous man she had ever encountered. Malik appeared in the clearing, calm and confident, a sly smirk playing on his lips that made him seem even more cunning. His cold, steely gaze swept over Ava, as though he had anticipated her presence and was fully prepared for a confrontation. Beside him, the massive black snake coiled itself, ready to strike at any moment. Ava felt fear rising in her chest, but the determination in her eyes remained unshaken. She recalled the image of her best friend, Kim, who had fallen victim to this monstrous creature. This was not just a battle for herself, but for all the innocent women who had been silenced by their untimely deaths. Malik whistled a haunting melody, and the snake immediately began slithering toward Ava. The deadly intent in its slow, deliberate movements sent a chill through her, but Ava stood firm. She raised the flute, closed her eyes for a moment, focusing on the sound within her soul, and began to play. The melody from Ava's flute rang out, powerful and resolute, cutting through the gloom of the forest. It was nothing like Malik's eerie whistle. It wasn't haunting or mysterious, but instead, it Tetienmon, Bussein, and filled with energy. Each note carried the force of her belief in justice and the strength she had nurtured since deciding to confront this man. The snake halted mid-slither, its pale yellow eyes flickering with confusion. It turned its head as if torn between the call of its master, Malik, and the sound of Ava's flute. Malik's voice grew harsh, his face contorted with anger as he realized that Ava's melody held the power to break his control. Ava! Malik roared. You don't know what you're doing. This is not a fight you can win. But Ava didn't respond. She continued to play her flute, pouring all her strength and emotion into each note. Every sound from her flute seemed to ignite a spark, compelling the snake to gradually turn away from Malik. It coiled slowly, yet decisively, now facing its former master with a gaze that was no longer submissive, but filled with menace. Malik stepped back, his face filled with worry and fear. He tried whistling again, desperate to regain control, but his whistle now sounded weak and powerless against the powerful melody of Ava's flute. Sweat began to trickle down his forehead as he realized the tables had turned. Ava looked at Malik, her gaze cold and resolute. In that moment, she saw fear in the eyes of the man who had once made so many tremble. Justice and light were beginning to triumph over the darkness. The snake, now fully under Ava's control, slithered menacingly toward Malik. He tried to back away, but his legs felt frozen in place. Ava continued playing, and the snake coiled around him, slowly yet dangerously. Malik trembled, struggling to break free from its grip, but it was futile. Ava stopped, lowering the flute, and looked at Malik. Her heart felt heavy, but she knew this was the only way to end the tragedy that had plagued the village. Malik, once so powerful, now stood defeated, subdued by the very snake he had once controlled. Ava! Malik gasped, his voice trembling, his gaze growing weak. You don't understand. I never meant to hurt anyone. It's the curse. I lost control. Ava didn't respond. She had heard enough excuses. The memory of Kim and the other innocent women who had perished filled her mind, leaving no room for pity. This was the price that had to be paid. Malik managed one last word before the snake tightened its grip, his breath fading away. Darkness enveloped him, bringing an end to the days of terror and sorrow he had unleashed upon so many. When everything fell silent, Ava turned away, leaving the forest and its horrifying memories behind. She knew she had fulfilled her mission. She had not only reclaimed justice for her lost friend, but also for all those who had perished at the hands of a man consumed by darkness. That night, the forest descended into silence, and the village of Kyondo was once again freed from the shadows that had plagued it. Ava walked under the moonlight, knowing that though this chapter had closed, the light of justice would remain, shining for the innocent. In the shadowy depths of the forest under the cold moonlight, Malik knelt before Ava, his breathing ragged and his eyes filled with panic. The final confrontation had arrived. This was the moment that would decide everything, the moment Ava had been waiting for since she first stepped into the village of Kyondo to uncover the truth behind the death of her best friend, Kim, and the other innocent women. Malik, the man once renowned for his charm and power, now appeared with a face etched in fear and despair. He looked at Ava, the pride of his former self gone, and pleaded in a trembling voice, Ava, please listen to me. I never intended to harm anyone. These things, they happened beyond my control. Ava, the flute still clutched tightly in her hand, looked at Malik with cold, unyielding eyes. His pleas brought back memories of Kim, her best friend, once radiant and full of life, now existing only in her recollections. Her gaze did not waver. She was no longer the gentle girl who hesitated when faced with fear. Ava had come too far to be deterred by vague excuses. Malik continued speaking, his voice faltering in the night air. Ava, it's the curse. I didn't want to do any of this. It has haunted me for so long, and I've tried everything to stop it, but I couldn't. He looked down, his shoulders trembling as if bearing an invisible burden. That day I made a grave mistake, and ever since then this power has turned into a curse. Every time the full moon rises, it grows stronger, taking control of me and turning me into someone I can't restrain. Ava listened to his every word, and for a moment her heart wavered. A part of her wanted to believe that Malik was truly a victim, that he had never wanted these deaths to happen. But the image of Kim, and of the other women who had lost their lives flashed vividly in her mind. She knew that no matter the truth, the continuation of these innocent deaths was unforgivable. Ava raised the enchanted flute, and her melody rang out, strong and resolute. Malik stared at her, his eyes wide with terror as he realized Ava had made her final decision. "Ava, no! I can change. Please, give me a chance. A chance to atone for my mistakes." But Ava's gaze remained firm, unwavering. Did Kim and the others, did they get a chance, Malik? How many more chances must come at the cost of innocent lives? Malik, desperate, realized there was nothing left to save him. "Ava, I truly am sorry," his voice cracked, breaking the stillness of the night. Ava closed her eyes and continued playing the flute. The melody grew sharper and more decisive, like the blade of justice. Each note carried the strength of light and belief, driving back the darkness that had consumed Malik. Under the assault of the melody, Malik began to recoil, as if the darkness within him was being torn apart piece by piece. Malik screamed, his voice transforming into an eerie echo as the darkness within him was swept away by Ava's melody. The massive snake beside him, a symbol of cursed power and dark authority, seemed to succumb to the music as well. It began to coil, writhe, and slowly dissolve into nothingness, leaving the forest in peace once more. Ava stopped, her breathing heavy but her eyes remained resolute. She looked at Malik one last time, now reduced to a shadow of his former self, stripped of his power and arrogance. Finally, Malik collapsed to the ground, his gaze fading into emptiness, though perhaps tinged with a hint of peace. In his last breath, he whispered, "Thank you for freeing me." As everything fell silent, Ava stood there alone, her heart heavy. She felt no triumph or joy, only a hollow emptiness and a cold sense of relief. Her mission was complete, but the cost had been too great. She turned and walked away from the forest, where the shadow of the curse had been banished forever. The moonlight softly illuminated the path back to the village, as if celebrating the dawn of a new peace. The mysteries and fears had passed, and the village of Kyondo could now rest under a clear, tranquil sky. Ava knew she had fulfilled her duty, but the images of Kim and the women who had lost their lives would remain with her forever. She reminded herself that this journey was not just about freeing the village of Kyondo, but also a testament that sometimes we must rise, we must fight, no matter how great the pain and sacrifice. Under the moonlit sky, Ava walked away, leaving behind her story and the dark curse of Malik to fade into the past. It would live on as a legend of courage and justice, a tale the village of Kyondo would pass down from generation to generation. After that final night, when the darkness was pushed back and Malik's dark power ended, the village of Kyondo gradually returned to its peaceful rhythm. The fields of flowers bloomed once more under the sunlight. The laughter of children echoed again along the dirt paths, and the vague fears seemed to fade into nothing more than a distant nightmare. The village's simple life was restored, but this time they would not forget the sacrifice and bravery of one woman, Ava. Though Ava still carried an unshakable sadness for her lost friend, she felt a sense of peace knowing she had fulfilled her mission. She had freed Kyondo from the curse of darkness, bringing light and tranquility back to its people. Ava was no longer just a courageous woman. She became a living legend in the hearts of the villagers. She became a symbol of bravery, perseverance, sulk, and an unyielding spirit. The villagers began retelling the story of Ava and Malik to their children and grandchildren. They passed down memories of those dark moments, the seemingly insurmountable fears, and the courage of a young woman who dared to rise and defend life and justice. The villagers believed that Ava was their unseen protector, and they reminded one another of the valuable lesson her story carried. The tale of Ava and Malik was not just a legend of power and darkness, but a reminder that true bravery lies in refusing to bow to any force, no matter how challenging or dangerous. Ava had taught everyone an essential lesson. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the will to overcome it in defense of what is most precious. The village of Kyondo now stood as a symbol of peace and life. Yet the story of Malik and Ava endured, passed down through generations. Malik's story, of a man consumed by darkness and enslaved by his own desires, served as a cautionary tale, reminding everyone that not all beauty can be trusted, and not everyone is as they appear on the surface. Meanwhile, Ava's fight for justice for her friend and the innocent women reminded all of the enduring power of truth and justice. And that is the story of Ava, the strong woman who saved an entire village from darkness and brought light back to its people. Her tale is not just the story of Kyondo, but a lesson for all of us. In life, we will face challenges that may seem insurmountable. But like Ava, if we dare to rise, to fight, and to believe in the truth, light will always emerge at the end of the path. If you want to continue hearing inspiring stories, profound legends, and valuable lessons from around the world, don't forget to follow our channel. Each story carries its own unique values and can be a source of motivation and faith during your most challenging moments. Don't forget to share your thoughts on this story and share it with your loved ones so we can spread these beautiful messages to even more people. See you in the next story.